brief note which I've given your lordship, and the heading is B, where I deal with this question. Now, my lord, the term subject to. Now, question has occurred and repeatedly been asked, is this conferment or is this restriction? What I would be submitting before your lordship is that it is both. It has two parts, subject to and law. So subject to restricts and law confers. Now, let me first clear I think it is a confusion which has occurred whether the term law as used in Article 191 means or includes acts of parliament or not. My lord, in order to understand this, my lord, let us first go to the Supreme Court rules and let us examine how the Supreme Court, full court in 1980 which sat, looked at this term law, and the answer lies in that. If I may take your lordships to the Supreme Court rules, Order 11, which is the critical section dealing with the Chief Justice being the master of the roster. How did they understand this term law? If your lordships have Order 11, my lords. Ji. If I may read, and I'll only read the first line, critical line, save as otherwise provided by law or by these rules. Now, your lordship may notice the language in this. Save as otherwise, critical word, otherwise, provided by law. My lord, a bare reading of this provision shows that one is envisaging some kind of statutory law. And I will come to the words otherwise later. Otherwise indicates that if law here refers to act, there may be some other arrangement in some other statute.
Subject to otherwise provided by law what? Pura padhiye na isko.
By law.
No, kindly read the whole.
Save as otherwise provided by law and by these rules, every cause.
Or by these rules. Or by these rules.
Or by these rules, every cause, appeal or matter shall be heard and disposed of by a bench consisting of not less than 3 judges to be nominated by the Supreme Court.
Well, this goes to the of the bench, not who is to sit on the bench.
So I'm not coming to, I'm simply saying, how do we understand this term law, which occurs in Article 191? An indication of that is given in this order. This clearly implies some kind of statutory law, and I'll come to the words otherwise later when I examine what is the relationship between rules and act. Now, to further clarify that the word law must include an act of parliament, there is a definition section in this Supreme Court rules. Now, your lordship may kindly come to that. If your lordships may kindly see Order 2.
Mr. Siddiqui,
yes.
The question was that if it is only to be an act of parliament, then the Constitution might have used the word act of parliament, not that the word law includes act of parliament. The whole issue was that subject to law, law is a very broad term,
yes.
includes many things, including yes. an act of parliament. Yes. And the Attorney General said that we should read into the word law the fact that it's just an act of parliament. Hence the issue as to how to read the word law. आप जो बहस कर रहे हैं कि law में act of parliament है वो तो understood है. सिर्फ ये है कि to the exclusion of everything else हम इसको law में पढ़ेंगे.
To the exclusion argue नहीं कर रहा हूँ, and the reason I am trying to clarify so that there is no confusion is to come to my argument about conferment under Article 190. If I may just make one point on this.
You see, there are two issues
yes,
here.
Yes,
I interject now. I'm here to hear you. Please conclude your submissions. If someone wants to ask a question, if you start responding to each query, I don't even know what your argument is. And I would request the honorable members of the bench to at least let counsel complete his submission. Yes, there will be questions, but let us, I don't know what you're going to say next. And if you are faced with questions, I mean, I don't know what I'm to write, and I just lose the chain of thought, and I'm sure you do as well. So, Mr. Siddiqui, please, if you keep responding to each question, we'll be forever. No, excuse me, this is no laughing matter.
My Lord,
No, from morning to night on the first day we worked, every second of this court is time of the people who have invested heavily in this institution. 3 full days have worked. Now we are on the 4th day. We can endlessly hear one case in the year, and that's our performance. And all the other cases will get left behind, and all mounting up. So please, there are 15 of us, and all of us have questions, and undoubtedly valid questions. Please complete your chain of thought, and if you keep responding, I don't know what your contention is, I will never understand it.
If I may just complete this.
Please keep submitting your submissions.
I'm very grateful to your Lordship. If your Lordships may see Order 1, it contains various definitions, my Lord. And then your Lordship may see subsection 2. If I may read. Unless the context, now law is not defined in Supreme Court rules, but this provision is there. Unless the context otherwise requires, the General Clauses Act 1897 shall apply to the interpretation of these rules, as it applies to the interpretation of a federal act. Your Lordships are aware that the term law is a defined term in the General Clauses Act. And this is the General Clauses Act 1897 I'm talking about. If your Lordship looks at Section 3, subsection, sorry sir.
Order 1, 2, 2 है ना जरा clear कर.
जी.
Order 1 का rule 2 का 2.
जी, Rule 2.
जी.
Rule 2 का 2.
जी, Rule 2 का 2. I'm sorry sir. So the definition of what law means in Order 11 would come from the General Clauses Act. And Section 3, subsection 37B has a definition of law. It says Pakistani law, but the case law consistently says where the term law means Pakistani law, that is what Pakistani law is. And it says Pakistani law shall mean any act, ordinance, regulation, rule, order, bylaw.
Please tell us where you're reading from.
Sir, Section 3, subsection.
Sections तो नहीं है.
Search General Clauses Act 1897.
अच्छा, we are still at the rules. जी.
Sir, rule तो मैंने आपको बता दिया. Order 1, sub rule 2. अगर आप General Clauses Act देख लें अब Section 3, subsection 37B.
37. Pakistani law.
So there is, as the Supreme Court which sat while making these rules was clear in their minds.
It says Pakistan law.
Yes, and the case law says that where the word law comes, instead, and I've given the citations, I won't repeat them, that Pakistani law's definition is to be used. I've cited that. So, my lord, there is no doubt about the fact that when the word...
This is the book that I have, subsection, there's a note here saying that this was substituted in 1981.
Ji. So, 37B.
Yes,
It was substituted in 1981, what you are reading. So when the full court sat to frame the rules in Supreme Court Rules 1980, what was 37B then?
But it would still apply.
No, but what was it?
I'm not aware of that, but
Check.
yes.
Fine, check.
So, my submission before your lordship is that even if one looks at the structure of the sentence, save as otherwise provided by law, the contemplation of even while framing the rules is that there can be an act of parliament. Now, what is the relationship between that act of parliament and the rules? That is a crucial question. But there can be no question about the fact that rules, act of parliament can be on practice and procedure of the Supreme Court.
No, it can't.
So that's my first point.
Just a moment.
Ji,
You
sir.
First of all, you are asking us to read a definition which does not say law but says Pakistani law.